What's up guys, welcome back. I'm standing right next to the 2023 Nissan Rogue SV, one of the most popular compact SUV on the market, as well as one of the most popular trims. And I'm going to take you on a complete tour of this vehicle thanks to Ghetto Nissan of Sarasota. And we're going to check it out starting from the exterior, then pop the hood and check out the brand new engine on it, and then take it for a spin at the end of this video. So if this is the first time we meet, my name is Matt, and here on Matt the Carguy, I post 2 car reviews every single week. If that's something that interests you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And now let's get back to this. Well, this generation Rogue was redesigned for 2021 model year, so virtually unchanged as far as the body on it. There's one major difference, and that's underneath the hood. We'll get to it in just a little bit. So let's take a look at some of the design elements. I like the hood. It is indented in the middle, creating that better airflow on the vehicle. There's 2 different headlight units. Well, the headlight unit is right here. This is all LED. This right on top, these are your daytime running lights and turn signals, and it's worth noting that the turn signal is the only thing that's not LED, that's actually an incandescent light bulb. Now it's got such a characteristic to Nissan brand V-Motion grille with a big brand new Nissan logo, and down underneath here you have some matte black trimming as well as this gray trim at the very bottom of it. You also have some functional air curtains to create that better airflow. And like I mentioned before, the biggest difference is underneath the hood. Let's take a look. So let's check this out. So Nissan ditched the 2.5 liter non-turbo engine in favor of this 1.5 liter 3-cylinder variable compression turbocharged engine. Now it produces about 20 more horsepower at 225 foot-pounds of torque, made it to an Xtronic CVT transmission. I'm curious how it drives. I've only driven this in this parking lot, so it'd be a nice test at the end of this video. Now it still has this ugly prop stick on the side over here, some sound insulation. Overall, pretty nice and clean engine compartment. I like the overall look on the side of this vehicle. Nothing too crazy. Looks like a proper SUV. Now this particular one is an SV trim, which is the second one from the bottom. And what they're telling me here at the dealership, that this is one of their most popular trim because it gives you a lot of features for the money. Let's check this out. As far as the wheel and tire setup, you have the 18-inch alloy wheels as standard equipment, 235 by 60. This is the tire stud. You have the Bridgestone Alenza tires. And as far as the design, over here you have this matte black cladding around the wheel wells. See, a lot of manufacturers do that. That continues right at the bottom of these doors, and of course in the back wheels. Now you have the keyless entry system. You also have the remote start that comes standard on this vehicle, and so you can lock and unlock this vehicle basically by pressing the button. As long as you have keys somewhere on, you don't need to press the buttons there. Top of the mirror, same color as the rest of the vehicle. Blind spot assist right here. You have the chrome trim piece on top, but everything else is all blacked out, including the pillars and the bottom portion of the trim. Now you also have this window in the back to help eliminate the dead spots when you're looking from the inside of the vehicle. Now let's take a look around and see what's in the back. Here in the back, we'll see that it's very much straightforward, straight down, so it should have more room as far as the cargo. We'll check that out in a minute. Now you have this big gate spoiler with the third brake light, exposed wiper down here, and then you have the mostly LED lights. I said mostly because you still have the incandescent light bulb and the turn signals, but they're nice, big, bright, visible. That's the important part. Nissan logo, Rogue spelled out down here. We have the all-wheel drive version of the SV trim, and that's what's indicated here. And the bottom portion of the bumper is matte gray, matte black, refractor lights, nothing too crazy. If you see that hole over here, don't worry, you'll get that plugged up when you buy this vehicle. This is for the tow hook that was used to tie the vehicle down when the vehicle was transported. Now the SV comes standard with the manual gate, so let's see how heavy it is to open. Once you get it started, so it does the work for you. Those struts do the work for you. So let's check out if we truly have a lot of room inside. Well, let's see about the roominess in the back, and I gotta tell you, it's quite a bit. Well, Nissan claims it's 31.6 cubic feet with the seats up. Now, if we wanted to fold the seats down, which you can do, they have a 60-40 split, that's over 74 cubic feet of cargo room. That's huge. Now, that's, a matter of fact, that's more than on Toyota RAV4, just slightly less than on the new Honda CR-V. And let's see what else we have. Underneath this floor over here, you have a spare tire. Now, this is a temporary used tire, but it is there for your convenience. And overall, this is pretty much it. One thing that impresses on the Rogue is definitely the roominess in the back seat. Now, I'm 6 feet tall. This front seat is adjusted to my regular driving position. I have about 2 inches before I would hit my knees to that seat. I also have about 3, maybe 4 inches above my head as far as the headroom, which is huge, and plenty of shoulder room. And let me show you the rest of the interior on this SV trim. Starting with the rear door panel over here, you can see the different colors and textures, which is a nice touch, especially that a lot of manufacturers are kind of forgetting about the rear passenger. So you have this brown looking trim right on top. You have this little fabric insert in the middle, of course, the door handle. You have your window controls, and that again, it has a different color trim in here. You have this contrast stitching on this padded armrest and quite a bit more room at the bottom of the door to store your bottle of water or something like this. Now, as far as the interior, this is a cloth interior. Now you can upgrade it to this faux leather interior on this SV premium trim, but these ones are actually very comfortable and I like it. They seem durable. You have this armrest that folds down with the cup holders, and right in the middle console you have the rear vents, which is a huge plus, as well as the USB Type-C and the Type-A ports down at the bottom. The bump in the middle is very minimal, so actually 3 people can sit right in the back seat here, which is very impressive. Before we get inside, let's listen to the sound of the closing door. Boom. Nice and solid. I gotta tell you, the door is surprisingly light on this vehicle. This is another thing worth mentioning. Look how much space you have to get into the front seat. Now, this is more than I've seen on any of the other SUVs. The same thing for the back. Now, look how much room. It opens up at 90 degrees. You have tons of room to get in. That's for easiness of access. Now, as far as the front panel, you have the same trim pieces as in the back, of course. So you have this brown trim on top. This is, by the way, soft plastic. It's really nice. You have this fabric here. You have this faux leather with the contrast stitching and the window lock, mirror controls down here. You also have the storage compartment at the bottom of the door, which is quite deep. Now, you do have the power adjustments on the driver's seat, and the driver's seat is nicely profiled. Now, one thing to mention before we jump inside is this storage space right underneath this floating console, so you can put tons of stuff underneath here and hide it. Now, let's jump inside. I'll show you the rest of it. So here's the interior of this 2023 Nissan Rogue SV. Now, this is the second from the bottom trim. There's nothing that has been upgraded as far as this portion of the interior. So let's take a look what you get as a standard equipment. Well, overall, the first impression is very positive because they use some of the more quality materials than I've seen at some of the other manufacturers. So you can see this trim piece right here. This is all soft plastic. This is kind of a simulated leather wrapping. Of course, this is all soft to the touch too. You have some satin gray color right at the bottom with the polished aluminum trimming around it. So they're not afraid of playing with textures and materials, and this is a good thing in my book. Now, as far as the steering wheel, this would be my complaint. That is a flat bottom steering wheel. It looks kind of sporty, but in my opinion, it's a little bit too thin. Right? I'd like to have it a little bit thicker. Now, this is a 3-spoke multifunction steering wheel, so you have controls on each side, and let's see what we have. So on the left-hand side, you have the volume control, and the rest of it basically controls what's going on in the instrument cluster. So we're going to play around with it, and I'll show you what's there. Nissan logo, and then on this side, you have the cruise control, dynamic cruise control, some shortcuts to your safety features, and voice control and the phone button. In the back, you have the pedal shifter, so it might have some simulated gears. Now let's take a quick look at the instrument cluster, so you can see more of a traditional style with the analog speedometer and tachometer on both sides. So right hand side you have the speedometer with the speed in miles and kilometers. On the left hand side you have a tachometer. In the bottom of each you have the fuel gauge on the right and the temperature gauge on the left. So right there you can see that there's a warning light, and that's because it's been popping up for the auto start stop system, that there is a malfunction of it, but that's not gonna stop us from driving this vehicle. It's perfectly safe, I hope. And let's take a look and let's see what we have in the middle. So right there, right on top, you said the time and the temperature, and then we're going to scroll down and see what else we have. So this is your main screen that either shows you the speed or it shows you nothing. And down at the bottom, by the way, where it says P, that's your gear indicator. Right next to it, you can see that auto start stop button. That seems to be malfunctioning because the light is blinking. But moving on to the right, you said the fuel economy. I just reset it, so we don't have any readings from it yet, but it was showing 4 miles per gallon, so I needed to reset it. Next screen over, it's a variable compression turbo. That's the type of engine you have, so it changes compression on the turbo based on the driving, and not having it set like some of the other vehicles. 4x4, intelligent 4x4, see where the power is going to which wheels. And then you have the timer, which is the next one, and then tire pressure, and that's it. Next screen is the media button. And next one over, some safety features that you have. Next one over, here's your messages, so that tells you that there's a couple of warning lights. And going to the settings, that's where you can change, VDC settings, driver's assistance, eco mode settings, TPMS settings, clock settings, vehicle settings, driver assistance settings. There's plenty of them. So you have the steering assist, lane assist, blind spot assist, emergency assist, parking assist, rear cross traffic alert, drive alert, alertness, timer alert, low temperature alert. So you get all of that as a standard equipment on this fairly base Rogue. So this would be it for the instrument cluster. Let's move on to the infotainment system. Now the infotainment system, this is a standard 8-inch screen. I'm not sure if you can update it to a much bigger one. This is fairly small for the class. Now you've seen, the CRVs are probably very similar to that and the RAV4s, but if you're looking at some of the Korean competitors, they definitely have this dialed in, and they are a lot bigger. So you have the volume and power button right over here. Then you have the tune scroll on the other side, and this is your main menu. This is your radio menu basically. And let's go back to see what we have as far as the home menu. Press the button down below. Here's your different tiles. So at the bottom you can have phone, audio, connections, info, and settings. I did connect my phone just to check if it does have the wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and it does not. You have to connect it to USB. You have the audio as far as the sources. You have the AM, FM, Sirius XM, and then you go back to your main menu as far as the connections. You see my phone is now connected, and info, settings. Here's your information, notifications, Nissan Connect services, system information, vehicle transmission data. So no notifications right now. And then here's the settings as far as connections, phone, sound, volume, beeps, customize audio sources, home menu, etc. You have the camera settings, system updates, apps. So we have smartphone connection. So it says we're connected for phone calls and music, and that's about it. Let's go back here and let's move it into the rear camera, and let's see what it looks like. So here's your basic camera right here. Nothing too crazy about it. It's an okay quality. It's not the greatest. It does have the active trajectory lines that you can see moving as I move the steering wheel. But no 360 on this particular one. You have to upgrade it, I believe, to either the ESL or the Platinum model to get all the bells and whistles. The Platinum one for sure. Down at the bottom you see the air vents. You do have the dual zone climate control, which is a nice touch on one of the base trims, and that's a shortcut for it. So you have the fan speeds. You also have the different vents that the air is going to be coming out of. And you know, of course, this is how you set your temperature. You can turn it on and off, etc. Down the bottom you have the USB type C, USB type A, regular power outlet, the start stop button. You don't have the wireless charging on this trim. Like I said, it's either the SL or the Platinum. We might even get it with the SV Premium trim. Now this is your gear shifter, somewhat interesting. You know, you move it front and back. Kind of looks like a traditional gear shifter, but it's not. Here's your gears. You can put it in the manual mode right here. Push park to put it in the park mode, of course. You have your cup holders, and then you have your electronic parking brake and an auto hold for the brakes as well. Here's your dial to select different drive modes, and let's see, right in the instrument cluster, you can see right at the bottom, you can see Eco, Sport, Auto, Snow, or Off-Road. These are the modes that are available. Now we do have the all-wheel drive system, so that's why you have the snow or off-road mode. So we're going to leave it in auto. I'm actually going to put it in sport and see how that VC turbo handles on the road. Overall, there's no sunroof on this trim, and then you have the light controls. You also have your sunglasses holder, and there is a mirror right here with the illumination. So this is the interior of this 23 Rogue. Well, let's see how this new engine performs. Before we take it on the road, let's take a quick look and see what different trim levels are available for 2023 Nissan Rogue. So the base one is the Nissan Rogue S. That starts at $29,260 if you wanted the all-wheel drive system. The two-wheel drive, the front-wheel drive, would be at $27,760. The SV $29,450, that will get you the front-wheel drive. And if you wanted to upgrade to the all-wheel drive, you need to spend $30,950, and that's basically what I have for you today. Now the next trim up would be the SL trim. Actually, the Midnight Edition is kind of in between the SV and the SL trim, and that basically is more of an appearance package that gives you the 19-inch gloss black wheels, the black V-Motion grille, different interior accents. So that's $35,145, and it comes standard with the all-wheel drive system. The Rogue SL all-wheel drive at $35,410, and the Platinum at $38,840. Now all of these vehicles can be upgraded with the individual options, and you can go to nissanusa.com to just check it out and maybe build one for yourself. But I'm really interested to see how this new 3-cylinder variable compression turbocharged engine performs. Let's take it on a quick spin right here. Visibility is really good. I have a nice big windshield in front of me, big windows on the sides, really very few blind spots. You also have the blind spot monitoring system. Now, as far as the suspension on it, it is definitely on the stiffer side. Even if we do some twists and turns, yeah, it does have a little bit of body roll, but it doesn't really transform into the cabin much. And then let's see if I hit the brakes hard. Well, it takes a little bit of a nosedive, but no more than any of the competitors. Now, the one thing also to check out is the acceleration. Well, all right, I'm at 0. Now it goes. Took a little bit to decide whether it wants to go or not. And then we got 60. Yeah, we got 60 miles per hour right now. So definitely, it doesn't feel very fast. I mean, that 8 seconds really drags, and especially with that CVT transmission where you don't have this crisp gear shifts or anything like this, that definitely has a lot to be desired. Now, I'm not sure. This is a little bit better, maybe a little bit better than the previous generation model that I tested. Not thoroughly impressed with it though, but you know, for the regular driving, I mean, what do you buy the vehicle to get you to work and back, take your kids to school? If you're looking for the people mover, then definitely this might be something that you consider. It's got tons of room, you know, as far as the leg room, shoulder room, even in the front and in the back. So if you have a need for a larger SUV and don't want to go to the midsize, you can definitely take advantage of this. So there's some things that I really like. As far as the engine and acceleration, to be honest with you, I was hoping for a little bit bit more. As far as the gas mileage, 31 is the middle number, 28 in the city, 35 on the expressway. This is a non-hybrid. There's no hybrid versions that's available for the Rogue. And one last thing that I want to do before I take it to its parking spot is take a look at the turning radius. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 parking spots to turn this vehicle around, so that's definitely competitive in the segment, about the same as the CR-V RAV4 in Tucson. Back in the parking spot, time to sum it all up. Let's take a quick glance at the segment. We're talking about the Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, Mazda CX-5, Hyundai Tucson, Kia Sportage. Those are the main competitors. I hope I didn't forget about anything, but this is a very dynamic, very busy, a constant changing segment. A lot of manufacturers are putting tons of money into these vehicles to make it more attractive to the buyers. Now, how does this compare to the Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4? They can check out my other reviews of those vehicles. So let's do a quick rundown as far as the looks. Very subjective, but it definitely is up on top with some of the other vehicles out there. As far as the roominess, this one has more room, in my opinion, than the Toyota RAV4. It's just about, it feels just about the same as a Honda CR-V, slightly bigger, I think, than the Hyundai Tucson. So, I mean, there's no question that this is one of the roomiest vehicles. So as far as the roominess, no complaints here. As far as the technology, now the Koreans dominated the market in the technology field. So as far as the technology, definitely trails behind those. Now I would put it just about even as a Honda CR-V and Toyota RAV4, which don't really have a very sophisticated technology systems in there. As far as the safety, a very safe vehicle. By the way, that's important to mention that Honda CR-V is the only one that scored, 5 stars overall with the IAHS testing. The Rogue for 2022 was 5. I think for 2023 is 4, and that's not because it got any worse, but because the criteria has gotten tougher. So it's definitely a safe vehicle. As far as the gas mileage, all of the competitors virtually are offering a hybrid option on their vehicles, and the Rogue does not. And again, that thing, I think it trails behind that in that segment. Pricing, I mean, that's all over the place. I mean, you're looking at $30,000. You're looking on the non-hybrid CR-V. You can get a really nice trim. With the RAV4, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. Sportage and Tucson, you're going to be very similar as far as the price rights. So definitely priced right in the segment. And performance. I'm sad to say that I was hoping for a lot more out of this variable compression turbo, and somewhat disappointed that it doesn't deliver a very exciting drive or driving dynamics to it. It has quite a bit of a turbo lag when it starts off, then it kind of picks up, and then the CVT transmission, it does not help at all. So unfortunately, it's not very exciting to drive, but it has a lot of other features that are appealing. So if you're looking for a larger SUV, don't want to go to the midsize, definitely check out one of those. They also have some special finance options. As far as I know right now, there's on Nissan websites that are very competitive in the segment. So that might be something that's sway you this direction. Go ahead, go for it. So if you're looking for new and pre-owned Nissan, and if you're in the Sarasota area, definitely check out the Gettle Nissan on Bee Ridge Road here in Sarasota. I'm going to post a link and the phone number in the description of this video so you can contact them directly and hopefully make a deal with them. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you like watching videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.